As part of the Global Scientific Conference on Human Flourishing, the Templeton World Charity Foundation is supporting 9 scientific workshops around the world that will advance critical interdisciplinary discussions across a range of topics. Over the past several weeks, we have interviewed the organizers of each of these workshops and asked them to share their thoughts on a series of key questions. Over the coming 2 days, you will hear their answers as they reflect on the importance of the field of human flourishing.
We want as a society that caters to everyone as much as possible and produces happiness and opportunity for people, as opposed to simply looking at numbers in a spreadsheet and just hoping and kind of placing faith in the idea that they correspond to something real in the world.
So here, it's truly important. We're at a point of time where I think it's crucial and even existential for our survival and flourishing of the human race. Us as humanity, that we start using the knowledge that scientists and experts have known for years and applying it in our everyday life, in our organizations and in our governments.
One of the hot topics in the area of social identities and intergroup relations is how do we acknowledge and talk about diversity in societies like the US, Israel, and others that are becoming increasingly culturally diverse. And there's a lot of research suggesting that there are benefits to taking a more multicultural approach that is celebrating and actively acknowledging differences between groups.
And it's really important for policymakers to have of understanding of what really drives human beings, what motivates them at the deepest levels, and what helps us stay connected and vital throughout our lives.
Human flourishing captures the most important aspects of our lives, the sense of us as individuals within our communities, engaging with each other, making the most out of our lives, having fulfilled lives. And from a policy point of view, that has to be the core of what every government and community is seeking to achieve.
We are looking forward to sharing more information with you about these critical discussions during the next 2 days of the meeting. Welcome again to the Global Scientific Conference on Human Flourishing.
I would just say that one word of wisdom: be open-minded about the data that you're going to be, reviewing, discussing, sharing, and not to have preconceived ideas, because these concepts have never been measured in these various countries and across these different cultures the same way. So there will be very interesting things and contradictory things that you may find. So as scientists, I think, that's one of the most important expectations, is to be open-minded and curious.
One way I really like to challenge myself in conferences that are multidisciplinary and that are relatively small in size, such as these workshops, is to seek out the person that I think is the most different from me. So whoever has the most different perspective, maybe whomever I think that I have the least in common with, research-wise or background-wise, and start a conversation with that person.
One word of wisdom is don't get too hung up on trying to define flourishing, because I think the fact that each individual is different, and that for each individual what we mean by flourishing might change ever so slightly, and that makes flourishing as a concept hard to nail down, even though there are some kind of cross-cutting essentials to it. I think the idea that it's variable across individuals and it might be quite hard to define is partly the point of flourishing. And so my big kind of word of wisdom would be, don't get too hung up on trying to define flourishing in some universal way that applies to every single individual.
I think the participants should come with an openness, ready to share and to learn and to collaborate with others from different countries.
The key thing is also to, especially for those who are to attend this with an open mind, because there's a certain or certain frameworks that people have been working with, but be willing to unlearn and learn new things, and be able to just share and contribute experiences from their different countries.
So when we say inner development goals, we're not talking about goals, we're talking about inner capacities that can help humanity to make this world a better place. We're all talking about human flourishing, and all of us who are involved in different ways in human flourishing, I think we need to embrace the diversity in the work for human flourishing. We're all using different languages, different approaches. It doesn't mean that one approach is the right one, because we're talking to different stakeholders and we're all driving towards the same goal: a flourishing world and a sustainable world.
My thoughts for conference attendees, for myself and for anybody who's seeking to build knowledge, is to be open to different perspectives, to take opportunities to learn, to take opportunities to reconsider worldviews, and to listen to one another.
If I had to give one piece of advice or wisdom, it would be to be intellectually humble, to be willing to listen and learn from other people. Don't just bring your own perspectives and your own agenda to the meeting. Be willing to be open to new ideas. This is how we'll really come up with solutions to problems, is by innovating and coming up with new ideas. And that can only happen when you have an intellectually humble attitude.
I think one of the things really exciting about this conference is the way it's the kind of model with having like a global, overarching structure, but also the kind of local workshops, which I think is really good, really nice model for doing things. As I think, there's so many different ideas being developed in different parts of the world, and there must be, similarities and parallels between them. Of course, there are also cultural differences that we need to look at and we need to take into account. But I think it's just really exciting to bring all these ideas together from different parts of the world and see what we can learn from each other.
I think my advice would be to let yourself be challenged. If something seems outlandish at first, just roll with it for a little while. In our workshop, we created future scenarios about how we might live our lives with AI looking out to 2040. It's important to imagine what full flourishing might look like, even when it challenges our notion of systems, of economy, of governance, of trade that we've always lived with. I mean, maybe there are better systems. Maybe there are new ways we should be thinking about living together interdependently. And I think, to just allow ourselves a little time to step into something that feels almost impossible is still really important for us to do, because that's how we get to an imagined future we might be able to work towards together.